Ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats just made the kind of mistake that you just don't come back from. Now I'm talking about chaos in Chicago, ICE vehicles attacked, tires slashed, federal agents under siege, and instead of condemning it, Democrats are doubling down. They're defending the same radicals, turning our cities into war zones. Now, here's where it gets even worse than that. At the very same time, AOC and 58 Democrats voted against honoring Charlie Kirk, proving once again that they would rather stand with violent mobs than with American families. Now, this is not just a bad look for them. This is a fatal mistake. And tonight, I want to go ahead and show you guys exactly how it all ties together: the riots, the votes, the rhetoric, the culture war, even the collapse of their own late night propaganda machines. Guys, make no mistake, this isn't just another protest. This is the moment the Democrats crossed the line and sealed their fate. And by the end of today's video, you're going to see exactly why I'm calling it total collapse. Buckle up, because what I'm about to break down, this is only going to change the way that you see everything that they've been doing. Hit the like button, subscribe. All right, so I want to go ahead and start with what just went down in Chicago, because it is the clearest picture yet of how far the left is willing to go. Now, these weren't just harmless protesters standing around with signs. No, that would be okay. This was a mob that crossed the line into outright lawlessness. I mean, we're talking about federal property under direct attack. I'm talking about ICE detention vehicles boxed in, surrounded, and then get this, tires slashed in broad daylight. They wanted the world to see them vandalize federal vehicles like it was some kind of a badge of honor. And then when the agents tried to keep operations moving, protesters swarmed the driveways, linking arms to one another to block exits and entrances, daring the feds to act. Agents were forced to bring in pepper ball launchers, posting officers up on the roof just to kind of attempt to control the crowd. Think about that. In America in 2025, federal officers protecting our laws, they have to fight off mobs who think that they own the streets. It's unreal. Now, and you know what really kind of makes this even worse? These are not one-offs. This is part of a national pattern, okay? Dallas, Portland, New York, and now Chicago. Is your city next? Drop me a comment down below. Let me know where you're watching from, guys. ICE facilities are turning into battlegrounds, and every single time that the media says the same thing, oh, it's a peaceful protest. Do those protests really look peaceful to you? Does a slashed federal tire, a blocked driveway, and pepper balls ready to fire scream peaceful to you? Of course not. I mean, we all have common sense, at least, folks who are watching my show do. This is violence, plain and simple, and the American people can see it. They can feel it. They know something is deeply wrong when mobs run wild, when the same Democrats who preach law and order suddenly lose their voice. And here's where the real fatal mistake really comes into play here. Because when violence like this happens, leaders have a choice. They can condemn it, they can call for peace, they can stand up with the American people, or they can do what Democrats just did. Instead of standing with law enforcement, instead of backing the ICE agents under attack, Democrats went to the floor of the House and sent the exact opposite signal. 58 of them, led by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, voted against honoring Charlie Kirk, a resolution meant to unite Congress, meant to show America that violence has no place in our politics. They rejected it. Now, why does this matter? Because when Democrats refuse to honor someone assassinated for their beliefs, but refuse to condemn mobs attacking ICE agencies and facilities, the message to their base is crystal clear. Resistance at all costs. Block the cars, slash the tires, harass the officers. Don't worry, the party has your back. And AOC made it even worse. She stood right there and she painted Charlie Kirk as a villain. Can you imagine that? Like accusing him of hateful rhetoric while completely ignoring the hate happening in real time in her own country. She called Charlie Kirk ignorant and dangerous, but she had nothing to say about violent protesters turning federal facilities into war zones. That is the fatal move. That is the mistake that cannot be undone, because Democrats just told America that they're not on the side of peace. They're not on the side of law and order. They're not even on the side of the freaking common sense. They choose to side with chaos every time. And once you make that choice, you cannot unmake it. This is why millions of Americans, moderates, independents, even lifelong Democrats are walking away from them. They're done watching their leaders defend mobs while their communities suffer. They're done with the excuses. And They're realizing that if Democrats can't even stand up to radicals slashing tires at ICE facilities, they're never going to stand up for you. Now, if you thought that this was bad, wait until you hear what DHS and ICE are now saying about the surge in attacks on their officers and how blue state governors like J.B. Pritzker are making things even worse. Now, if I asked you to rate your Medicare confidence from 1 to 10, where would you land? Serious question. If it's not a 10, that is a problem. That is why I partner with Chapter. Their advisors, they raise that number by reviewing your Medicare plan until you feel secure. And they do it for the Ron Yates community absolutely for free. Now, one of our viewers said, Chapter took me from about a 4 to a 10 on my Medicare confidence. So let me ask you, do you want to stay uncertain or do you want to do what most people are already doing? They're choosing certainty. That's right. Most people are already dialing the phone number at the bottom of your screen right there, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. That telephone number is 909-563-8279. So here's what the mainstream media will not tell you. DHS officials are reporting assaults on ICE officers that they are up more than 1,000%. 1,000%, guys. Think about what this means. Men and women who signed up to protect this country, they're being targeted in numbers that we've never even seen before. And why? Because politicians, the same ones who voted against honoring Charlie Kirk, they're calling these agents Nazis, Gestapo, and even slave patrols. That kind of rhetoric isn't just disgusting, it's very dangerous. And we all know how dangerous rhetoric can be. It gives a green light to lunatics out there who think slashing tires and attacking federal facilities is some kind of a noble resistance. It's not. But ICE isn't backing down. They've put it on the record. Assault a federal officer, and you're going to face the full extent of the law. They're not playing games. They're recruiting in record numbers. More than 150,000 new applications have come in. The American people see through the charade. While Democrats smear ICE, the public is lining up to stand with them. Now, and then you got to look at the blue state leadership, and it becomes even more clear. In Illinois, Governor J.B. Pritzker has refused federal help. Even as Chicago bleeds week after week, he rejects President Trump's offers. Fighting Trump is more important than protecting families. I know, it makes no sense. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, J.B. Pritzker is photographed smiling alongside of a man now charged with murder in a smash and grab gone deadly. A man with 4 outstanding warrants in multiple states. A man who killed an innocent father on his way to work. That photo wasn't just bad luck. It was a symbol of a political class more interested in taking pictures with so-called community activists than actually enforcing the law. And when that picture hit the news, J.B. Pritzker scrambled, trying to delete it, and claimed he didn't know. But the damage was done. The damage was already done. So ask yourself, how much longer before the people of Chicago and the people of America rise up against leaders who protect criminals instead of protecting their own citizens? Because this is where we are right now. A blue state governor caught standing shoulder to shoulder with killers while President Trump's federal officers are fighting to hold the line. And it doesn't stop there. Those very flags flying at these protests, the symbols carried in the streets, they tell the whole story. Antifa is back in the spotlight, and President Trump has already labeled them what they truly are. Here's where the mask comes off, literally. At these ICE protests, it's not just immigration crowds, it's not just immigration activists waving signs. Mixed in with the crowd, right there on camera, are Antifa flags. The same black and red banners that have torched cities from Portland to New York. Now, under President Trump, Antifa isn't just some loose street gang anymore. Earlier this year, they were formally designated as a terrorist organization. That means anyone caught coordinating with them, funding them, or marching under their banner could face severe consequences, usually reserved for cartels and foreign extremists. And yet Democrats, they still defend them. They call it just an idea. Just an idea. They tell that to the officers whose cars are set on fire. Tell that to the families terrorized in their own neighborhoods. That's not an idea. That is organized domestic terrorism. So here's the fatal miscalculation. By standing shoulder to shoulder with Antifa sympathizers, Democrats have tied themselves to a movement that's now branded as terrorism. They thought it was edgy politics, but in reality, they just handed President Trump the biggest weapon of all: law and order against domestic terror. So what's their excuse? Well, They keep saying all political violence comes from the right, that January 6th was the whole story. But let's go ahead and lay it out clearly. Tesla dealerships firebombed, innocent Tesla owners doxxed and harassed, ICE facilities attacked in Portland, in Dallas, and now in Chicago. This isn't a coincidence. This isn't spontaneous. It's organized, it's coordinated, and it's tolerated by the highest levels of the Democratic Party. They scream peaceful protest while the streets burn. They cry resistance while federal officers are hospitalized. They mock President Trump's law and order agenda. But the second you look past the headlines, it's obvious. The real threat to peace is coming from the left. And the American people are sick of it. They don't want excuses. They don't want double standards. They want leaders who will stop the chaos. And right now, only Trump is delivering that. So now, if you think that this collapse stops in the streets, you'd be wrong. It is spilling into their own party leadership, with AOC plotting her next move and Chuck Schumer is on the ropes. So now I want to talk about the fracture inside the Democratic Party because it's bigger than anything we've seen in years. Axios just reported that AOC is positioning herself for a 2028 presidential run, or if not that, a Senate challenge against Chuck Schumer. Now, think about what that means. While Democrats are already bleeding support, their brightest star is openly preparing to shove aside the establishment itself. And Chuck Schumer, he's polling at historic lows. Even CNN panels admit he is not up at the moment. So instead of moderating, instead of calming the waters, Democrats are doubling down. They're aligning themselves with the same radical rhetoric that defends violent mobs and trashes law enforcement. That's not strategy. That is suicide. And so here's the fatal mistake. They think AOC's extremism is their ticket to power, when in reality, it's going to tear their party apart. So with President Trump firmly in the White House enforcing order, Democrats, they look like the party of chaos, and even their own voters can see it. And so this collapse isn't just political, it's cultural. I mean, look at what happened with Jimmy Kimmel's show, right? Pulled from the air, not because Trump forced it, not because the FCC swooped in and yanked Kimmel off the air, but because it was financially dead. Late night TV used to be the Democrats' propaganda machine. It was their safe space to be able to mock conservatives, to humiliate Christians, to trash Trump supporters. But what happened? Moderates walked away. Conservatives tuned out. Ratings tanked. Advertisers bailed. There's no more money coming in. That is the bigger story, guys. The entertainment wing of the left is crumbling quickly under the same weight as their politics. So if they can't hold on to their culture, if they can't hold on to their ratings, and they can't even hold on to their own voters, well, what do they have left? They are collapsing in politics and culture at the exact same time. And that, my friends, this is what makes this moment so deadly for Democrats, because they're running out of ground to stand on. And now comes the knockout punch, because while Democrats are busy tearing themselves apart, President Trump, he's standing tall. He's enforcing law and order, and he's showing America what real leadership looks like. And so here's the part Democrats cannot escape. While their party collapses under the weight of violent protests, Antifa flags, and radical rhetoric, President Donald J. Trump is delivering results. ICE is not retreating. They're emboldened. So with more than 150,000 new ICE applications pouring in, law enforcement is stronger than ever. Trump's message is clear. If you assault a federal officer, you will be prosecuted. Period. No excuses, no apologies. That's what real leadership looks like. So while Democrats side with the mobs, while, President Trump stands with the men and women who actually put their lives on the line, that's leadership. So while Democrats tie themselves to chaos, Trump restores law and order. The harder they push against him, the more obvious their weakness becomes. That is why this isn't just another news cycle. This is the fatal mistake that they've made. They thought that siding with the mob would win them points, but instead they've exposed themselves as the party of violence. So so basically, this is huge, guys. This is massive. This is almost the biggest nail in the coffin for the Democratic Party that we've seen in 2025. So they have instead exposed themselves as the party of violence, of hypocrisy, of violence, of collapse, and is all happening right in front of us. So I want to just go ahead and call it what it is. Democrats just made the one move that you never make in politics. They bet against the American people. They bet against safety, against order, against truth, and now they're paying the price. From Chicago streets to the House floor, from late night TV to their own party leadership, the collapse is everywhere. They've lost the narrative. They've lost the culture. They're losing their own voters. And here's the bottom line. They just made a fatal mistake and it's all over. Like, share, subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. Do you think Democrats can ever recover from this? Or is this the total collapse that we've been warning about? I'll see you guys on the next one.